This is Sweetheart, Alabama, the podcast about the little herb shop in beautiful downtown Greenville, Alabama, where we discuss natural health you can do yourself, inspiring you to your own passion, and a little bit about the magic of living in the Camellia City. And now, here's your host, author, herbalist, and energy healer, Danan Whitten.
Hey, this is Danan and welcome to Season 1, Episode 2 of Sweetheart, Alabama. Today we're going to discuss supplements for stress. It's been such a big deal, over the past 2 years, and I want to talk about some good ways to look at it and some things to avoid. And we're going to talk about an energy healing session by Atana and the monkey cages of Greenville, Alabama. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's really a sad story, but we're going to talk about it. Hey, I'm Danan. I'm an herbalist and energy healer here in Greenville, Alabama. My shop is called Sweetheart, Alabama, and it's located in our beautiful downtown. I'd love for you to visit one day. Hey, did you know that Sweetheart, Alabama is not just a podcast, it's also a real shop in downtown Greenville, Alabama, and a website. Go to sweetheartalabama.com and say hello. Please say hello anytime. And also, you can find us on all of the social medias, the sites that you're listening to this podcast on, and on TikTok and Twitter and Facebook and all those places too. Love to hear from you. Okay. I want to talk about supplements for stress because I think this is probably my number one request from people coming in the shop. But first, I have to give you a disclaimer because this is for entertainment and educational purposes only. I am not a healthcare provider, nor do I give medical advice. As always, before adding any supplemental medication or supplement to your regimen, please talk to your doctor. Thank you. You know I have to say that. And it seems that there's so many people who are stressed out today, even past these last 2 years. It's just exponentially I have seen problems. I could really do an entire podcast just called Stress and Things for Stress. But I'm going to share with you some things that I have seen really, really help people. And just know that you can find these at your local health food store or online, and do your own research. Always. Okay. Probably one of the biggest ones that I'm allowed to talk about, I'm going to get into that too, is called Stress Decompress. And here's why I like this. Stress Decompress by Host Defense is a mycobotanical. And by the way, I'm not getting paid to tell you about any of these supplements, okay? So a mycobotanical means that it's a combination of herbs and mushrooms. So Stress Decompress has some really good stuff in it. It has reishi mushroom, which is really good for calming, stress reduction. Reishi, if you take it really continuously, it will help kind of balance out your sleep. It's great for women's health as well. Stress Decompress also contains lion's mane, which is, I could talk about lion's mane all day too. It helps balance mood, but it's great for brain health, and it gives you a little bit of energy too. Skullcap is great. This is an herb for mental relaxation. Lemon balm for calming, another herb. And ashwagandha, which is helps with your stress response in your body. So we're all going to get stressed no matter what. You can't avoid stress. You can't go live in a box somewhere. You're going to have to live out in the world where stress comes at you. But it's how we deal with stress that matters. And ashwagandha really helps with that. So that's one. Now the other one I want to talk about is just ashwagandha. And the reason why is that it seems to be pretty effective for the younger folks. It has a real calming effect, and it seems to work better on younger people. So one of the things you have to be careful about with ashwagandha that I don't think a lot of people know, because you hear about the great stuff about ashwagandha, but I would caution anyone who has thyroid or immune system issues to maybe talk to their doctor first. Definitely avoid ashwagandha in larger doses. And please do not try ashwagandha if you were taking benzodiazepines or other sedatives. Always ask your doctor if you can take it with blood pressure medication and some diabetes medications too. So I know I'm using an overabundance of caution here, but I see this happen all the time. There becomes the hot supplement because somebody is pushing it online, and people jump on that thing thinking it's going to be the answer to all their problems. And you see that a lot. If you're online for any amount of time, you see people are pushing like the miracle thing, and then it kind of falls off, and there's another miracle thing. And that's really not how herbalists think. So we have to kind of calm people down when they come in and they think that ashwagandha is going to be the answer to all their problems. There are bunches and bunches and bunches of natural supplements and herbs that do the same thing. Okay, so you're just being marketed to, and you get excited about this one thing. I think that's great for people who want to get into natural health, but also know that you have to do your own research and you have to see how is this going to affect my medication or other things that I'm taking. So that's why I'd love for you to come talk to me personally, or you're the herbalist in your town. Do the research. Now, there's something that starts with 3 letters. I talk about this all the time, that I talk about that I can't talk about this. Here's what happens if I talk about the thing with 3 letters. I get banned. The show gets banned. My advertising gets banned. It's insane how much just saying these 3 letters will keep, my show will get kicked off YouTube. So it's ridiculous because the thing with 3 letters is legal. And it's just the most ridiculous thing. It's laughable. If you don't know what those 3 letters are, they happen to be really great for stress and anxiety and help with sleep. Contact me or your local herbalist, and you could say, hey, this lady on this podcast is talking about this thing with 3 letters. It helps with sleep and stress. They'll know. They'll know what it is. Okay. So another combo of herbs that I really like is passion flower and valerian root. Those are really great for sleep too. But never take those with any benzodiazepines or SSRIs because they can make those medications stronger. Did you know that? Well, when you're on prescription medication for stress and anxiety, man, you got to be really careful about adding anything natural also for stress and anxiety, and that's something you need to talk to your doctor about. If you noticed, you may have been wondering why I didn't talk about St. John's wort. Well, there's a reason for that. I'm not a fan. There are so many drug interactions with St. John's wort that it worries me. It worries me to the point that I don't even carry it in the store, and I don't suggest that people use it, because here's what happens. Let's say I caution you about buying St. John's wort. Yes, it can do a lot for natural stress, anxiety especially. But I have to make sure you're not on certain medications. Let's say you get on a medication and then you forget that, I'm not supposed to take St. John's wort with that. It's you have St. John's wort in your house and you give it to somebody else, not asking them what medication they're on. So it's just one of those herbs that it's not worth it to me when there's so many other herbs that can do the job. So if you have any questions about stress, supplements for stress and anxiety, I'd love to talk to you. And I know anybody at your local health food store would love to talk to you about it too, because I promise you we are talking about it a lot to a lot of people. And there's so many things out there that can help. Check into it. You're going to find that there's lots of things there that you can try that can really help you get through your day. All right. Energy healing sessions can be done at any time, anywhere in the world. To find out more about remote energy healing sessions from Danan, go to dananwhidden.com. Okay, I'm going to talk about Reiki energy healing. And look, I explained this in the last show that I don't really call it Reiki because I do my own thing. If you've had an energy healing session from me, either in person or remotely, you kind of know I do it my own way. I think everybody does it a different way, but even though my training is in Yusui Reiki, which I've been doing for 10 years now, I just call it energy healing and we just go from there. But I wanted to tell you, because I promised you last week, that I was going to explain how it happened that I got my first energy healing session. And you can actually look up the guy who I got my energy healing session from. So when I was living in Nashville, a friend of mine said, "Hey, you've got to go to Atana." I'm like, "Atana who?" It's just Atana. He doesn't have a last name. I'm sure he has a last name, but it's just Atana. So they kind of explained to me, like, here's what happens. Atana is operating out of one of the healing centers over in Berry Hill. It's all cool. You are laying on like a massage table, and there'll be music playing and all of that. And he just has you close your eyes and relax. And he does energy healing over your body. He also did not do touch, which I don't do either. I don't actually touch for energy healing. I hover. And he may use some crystals or something, and beautiful music's playing, and it's so relaxing. I'm like, I'll try it, So part of me is like, sitting in the waiting room, I'm like, I cannot believe I'm doing this. This is, like, what is this mess? I am a country girl from Alabama, raised in the Baptist church. This is hokey. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to try it. I'd already done massage therapy and other alternative healing stuff. Why not try Reiki, right? Okay. So Atana comes in, and he looks exactly the way you would think, long, black, curly hair, has an accent. I don't know where he's from. Very nice gentleman. But so I'm laying there. He's doing the energy healing. I've got my eyes closed, and I'm like, just don't laugh, because I am calm. I do like how this feels. This feels like I'm doing something nice for myself, but I'm not so sure if it's like, is it supposed to feel like I am being healed? Or is it supposed to feel like I'm falling asleep? Like, I don't know what it's supposed to feel like while I'm getting this energy healing session. So I just kind of relaxed and went with it. I did not love his choice of music. It was kind of, how do I put this in a nice way? Like old Sandy Patty. It was like an old lady singing soprano song. I don't know. It just wasn't very like spa-like to me. I was expecting more of a spa experience. Anyway, he put some crystals like on my stomach and had me hold a crystal, and I thought, okay, now we're getting hokey, right? This is so hokey. But we go through the whole thing. And it was a pleasant experience, okay? And so he's like, okay, we're done. If you want to sit up, I'm going to go over my notes and we'll talk about it and stuff. And I was like, okay, it was really enjoyable. And he said, I don't think you need to come here a lot. You seem pretty balanced. If you're interested, my friend had told him I was kind of interested in learning about doing healing modalities myself because I had just finished up my herbalist training. And he said, you would probably be good at this, and maybe you should look into getting your training. And I thought, oh, okay. Well, he had pulled out a box of tissues, and I thought, okay, what is this about? And he said, and we were going over some things he thought I could do better as far as taking care of myself, of my body and stuff. And he said, and then I just want to tell you, there's a lady who was sitting here kind of telling me to tell you to watch your stomach. And, I'm like, a lady? And y'all, he described my dead grandmother to a T perfectly. even down to the bracelets that she wore and her red fingernails and her, y'all, and I just started crying. And that's what the tissues were for. I was like, what? It was pretty shocking. I'm not going to try to explain it here. I'm just telling you my story, okay? It was such a touching and beautiful connecting moment. I can't describe it as in words as much as I can tell you I felt it, and I felt so emotionally connected and happy. And he wasn't surprised that I was crying. It wasn't, he handed me a tissue, and and I said thank you, and I left that place knowing that there was something to this and feeling healed in a way that I had never felt before, and feeling balanced, and I just wanted to learn more. And that's why I decided I'm going to learn to do this. I want to learn to do this for other people. And thanks to Atana, I did. And so if you want to look him up in Nashville, he's still, I just looked up his website. I haven't seen it in years, hadn't thought about Atana in years. But it's Atana, ATAANA, works.com. You could just look up Atana Nashville and you would find him. But yeah, and he's been doing it for many, many years. He's an incredible healer. And so I thought you guys deserve to know how I had my first energy healing session and how it totally changed my life. If you want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Danan and buy me a coffee. Or you can join our daily gratitude club and get a daily email from me every morning for just $5 a month. Thanks. All right, y'all. So I have been working on a couple of other crazy history, fun stories to tell you about Greenville, Alabama. And one is so complicated and so long. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I got to tell you, I'm going to tease this one before we get on the Monkey Island. There is a story about a prisoner of war held in a Civil War encampment, a Union encampment, after the Civil War, that reads like The Shawshank Redemption on steroids, okay? And I'm so amazed by this man's story from Greenville. And I'm going to get into it, but I felt like I needed to do a little bit more research on it before I do, because it's the craziest. It is insane, this story. Today I wanted to bring you something kind of lighter, but it's not. It is, but it isn't. And it is, it's a story that's not as hard to tell, but it's just, y'all, Monkey Island. Okay. So, as an animal lover and a person who believes that if you're going to keep wild animals, you should do it, only responsible people should do that. All right, let's get into it. A lot of people from Greenville know that we have an old park. It's a beautiful park still today, but it's older. It's called Beeland Park, and it's located just outside of downtown. It's had a long history. Part of its history was that at the entrance of Beeland Park, there were cages and waterways, maybe even a fountain at some point or a waterfall that housed monkeys. Yes, monkeys. And it was quite the thing to go see the monkeys at Beeland Park. Now, I don't have any personal memory of the monkeys, but I know that maybe there were some around when I was born. I'm not sure. So it's been a long time since this has happened, y'all. So don't freak out if you're a wild animal lover. Okay, this has been a long time ago. In fact, I'm going to tell you when. But let me tell you, the info that I'm sharing with you is from the Butler County Historical and Genealogical Society. It's from their July 2019 quarterly, and the information was compiled by Judy Taylor. And please, y'all, wherever you live, join the Historical Society in your town. Your yearly dues are probably not that much, and it really, really helps. They do so much to preserve the best part of history in your area, and that is the personal stories of the families and the people who live there, the things that you can never get back if you lose. And so it's important in every community, no matter where you live, just find your local historical society and join or make a donation. Find out what they're about. See if you can volunteer. I know our historical society is desperate for volunteers to help. They're really working hard to compile information, and they need a lot of people to help them right now, if you're interested. All right, so we're going to talk about June 1949. Oh my God. Okay. Well, this was the bright idea of the Rotary Club of Greenville, Alabama. They voted to build a modern monkey island surrounded by a moat at the entrance of Belen Park. Their plan also, by the way, was to have wildcats, raccoons, and rabbits. Now, hang on a second. I don't understand how were they going to keep them separate and just hope everything was going to, let them live in terror of what could eat them? Because, I could be wrong, but if you filled a cage full of monkeys, raccoons, wildcats, and rabbits, well, I can tell you the raccoons and the rabbits about to get eaten. Okay? And did they think they were all going to, live in harmony and peace like a Disney movie? I don't know what's going on. Okay. But they actually were depending on local hunters to find the wildcats, the raccoons, and the rabbits and bring them back alive. But they bought the rescue monkeys from a dealer. And the original agreement was 6 giant Rhesus monkeys. Okay. All kinds of things happen, but they finally get them. Okay. So by June the 30th, so by the 16th, they've announced, we're getting monkeys. It's happening. By June the 30th of 1949, the monkeys were arriving from the City Park Zoo in Denver, Colorado. So a dealer got the monkeys from the zoo and sold them to the Rotary Club of Greenville, Alabama. But the shipment got delayed because one of the monkeys had escaped in Colorado and had to be recaptured in the mountains somewhere. And one of the female monkeys had a baby. So she didn't come immediately, but later she was delivered. So people would come from far and wide to see the monkeys and throw food at them and taunt them, I'm sure, and made their life general hell, probably. And I understand, oh, look, it's awesome. Look, a monkey. But what were their lives like, We see only a year later, by the way, in a news report, that they had added 2 other monkeys from a different place. And without thinking, y'all, they just put those other 2 monkeys in the cage with the other monkeys. Well, a monkey war ensued, and they had to remove the monkeys and build a separate cage for them because they were severely injured, by the way. They almost died. How sad is, this is sad. I'm not, I'm sorry. It's sad. It's pitiful. It's a really bad idea. Judy also reported that at some point there were more than one mother and baby. So you could see a bunch of mother and baby monkeys too. So after, and they were swimming in the moat. Now, at some point, did something escape? I think it did because someone else had the bright idea to put alligators in the moat. And as Judy says, and that was the end of the monkeys. Also, and look, that's why I'm calling this the worst, best idea Greenville ever had. Because, yeah, I mean, I've seen, and you probably can look at pictures of the monkeys, and it looks like the moat's pretty large, and they're getting fed, and they have this life where they can watch people go by. Yes, I understand. I'm not trying to be, get a little too dramatic with y'all. However, whoever thought to put alligators in the moat? I mean, so tragic. And then at some point, I was told by an older gentleman in town years ago that he was so angry because at some point there had been an extra tax increase in Greenville to pay for the monkeys' care. Now, I'm not sure that's true. If anybody can find out for me, I would really appreciate it. But when the monkeys were all dead and gone, thanks to the alligators, that tax remained in place. And he was still angry about that. And bless his heart, because he told me, we've been feeding those damn monkeys this whole time. Oh my God. So sometimes, in a lot of cities, y'all, it's not just Greenville. I'm not picking on Greenville. A lot of places had like, oh, let's bring an animal for people to see. In fact, I've been to a town in Louisiana that has a strawberry festival that had just the smallest pool, like a very shallow, small pool where a giant alligator lived. And it was pretty sad to see the alligator kind of stuffed into this pool. And while, you don't want to give the alligator a condo, on Park Avenue, you definitely at least want to be humane in the care and treatment of all animals, I would think. So you may disagree with me, and that's totally fine, but I'm just thinking maybe this wasn't so well thought out. But the people of Greenville really did enjoy Monkey Island, and there's plenty of pictures of it for you to see. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, listen, for episode 2, we've talked about how to handle stress naturally. We've talked about kind of what happens in most energy healing sessions, and we've talked about the monkeys at Beeland Park in Greenville, Alabama. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any updates for me on any of those, I would really appreciate it. I'm going to bring you updates from our first story next week, and we may get into this prison break that is, it should be a movie. That's all I'm going to say. It already was a movie called Shawshank Redemption, but this one's even better, I promise you. I want to thank you for listening, and I would love it if you'd leave a review wherever you listened from, or just say hello, reach out. I'd love to know ways of how to make this show better, and I just appreciate you so much for listening. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Sweetheart, Alabama. To learn more about the show or about Danan, please visit sweetheartalabama.com or dananwhitten.com. This is CJ Clark speaking. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at CJClark81. This has been Sweetheart, Alabama.